So in this session, we are basically going to see what Python exactly is using the 4 pointers. And those 4 pointers are, first is high level, it is high level programming language. Okay. So first let's try to understand what is programming language. What is a program exactly, right? So if I say I want to learn one language, so what language consists of? It consists of some symbols. We call it as letters or alphabets or anything, right? So if we want to learn any new language, first what we have to learn is their alphabets. And second, we have to learn the rules. Okay. So how to say the sentence from the past, how to say the sentence from the future. So there are some rules which language follows. So language consists of two parts. First is the alphabet, the symbols, and the rules. Okay. Now the programming language is just any other language. So it also contains some specific symbols like curly brackets, square brackets, double colons, semicolons, right? These are all the symbols along with some alphabets or some reserved keywords. And programming language also has some rules. So the rules might be if you are writing one block, then it should be enclosed within the curly brackets or the square brackets. I'm just giving the example. Okay, so that is a programming language. Now what is program? So as I've said, there are some set of keywords or special alphabets. So this is known as syntax. Okay, so programming language is nothing but set of commands which we tell to computer to perform or execute, right? Now this programming language has some set of symbol which we call it as a syntax, and then it has some grammar or some rules. That rules we have to follow while writing that language. Now why programming language is used? Okay, so if I want to communicate my message from to another human being which knows English, it is pretty simple, because I'll simply communicate my message in English language or any other language. In same way, computer understand programming language. So if I want my computer to do something for me or to execute something for me, I have to tell the computer or I have to give command to computers, right? And the language between a human being and a computer is nothing but a programming language. So as I said, we are giving commands to computer. So program is nothing but set of commands which follows syntax and the rules. Now what is high level programming language? In the evolution of computers, right, when very first computer came, it understood very binary language or limited set of commands, only zeros and ones, and it is very difficult to write all the symbols or all the commands in the form of zeros and ones, because it is very difficult. These languages were known as low level languages which were used earlier. Then came high level languages, which is languages which we write in just like in English with some additional symbols, and it automatically converts that English sentences to the binary language which processor actually can understand. So that's the high level programming language. So Python is high level programming language. That means it is just like English with some additional symbols, and Python executor implicitly will convert that language to machine readable language or the binary language and executes the program. Okay. Now second is Python is general purpose language. Okay. So there are many languages like Python, like we have C, C++, JavaScript, Python, and there are so many languages, right? But all the languages, if you see, they have specific use cases. For example, if I want to create my personal operating system like Windows or Linux, C++ is the best option, right? Or if I want to create a website, any kind of website, JavaScript is specifically for that. But now when Python is coming into picture, we are saying it is general purpose. That means we can create operating system, we can create website using Python, we can automate the things using Python, or all the latest stuff you are hearing like be it AI or ML, everything can be done via Python. So that's what it makes, that's what Python makes so powerful. It is general purpose language. Now third point, it is interpreted language. So there are two types of ways we can give command to computer. Okay, so let's understand this scenario. If I need to interact with one alien and I want to give him 5 commands, what I can do is I can write down 5 commands, 1 2 3 4 5, and give it to translator. Okay, translate these 5 commands. So the translator will translate all the 5 commands and then pass it to the alien, right? But again, the problem of this is I have to wait till all 5 commands are translated. I have to wait for that particular period. And if one of the command goes wrong, again I have to correct it and again pass to translator all 5 commands. So there is time wastage. Okay, so these type of parsing is known as compiled languages. Okay, now we are saying Python is not compiled language, it is interpreted language. What does it mean? Again, we'll go back to the same scenario. Now I want to communicate with the alien with the help of translator, but in this case what I'll do is I will give one command, pass it to translator. Now translator will pass it to the alien. Now again I will give second command to the translator. Translator will translate it and pass it to the alien, so on and so forth. Now here the difference is at the end of each command it's immediately getting translated and passed on to the another entity, right, in the real time. So it saves lot of time. That's why we are saying when Python is interpreted, and which makes Python much more faster. Okay, so this is the third point. Python is interpreted language. Now last point, we are saying it is object oriented as well. Okay, so what is object oriented? What is object? We'll see some example. So let's say I have a factory of making some kind of mobiles, right? I have factory of mobiles, and in that factory every minute I'm creating one mobile. Okay, so mobile is one object. I have factory of creating objects. In this case object is mobile. Now what I can do is I can store all the hardware which is required to make a mobile. I can store all the hardware categorically, meaning in one room I will store all the RAMs, in one room I'll store all the let's say memory chips, in one room I will store all the screens. Like that I can arrange it. Okay, but this is not a feasible way to store the material, right? Because to make one mobile I have to go to each and every room, right? One room to collect screen, one room to collect RAM, one room to collect memory chips. So I have to go to each room. So instead of that, what I will do is I will collect all the materials which is required to make one mobile and store it in one room. Okay, so this approach is known as object oriented approach. So we are storing all the things we required in one place. This is object oriented programming. So I will store all the material required to make a mobile in the one room, all the material which is required to create one tablet in another room, so on and so forth. So it will reduce my task. So in the same way, if we think digitally, we will go much more into detail, but for now we can consider it object oriented is a kind of storage where you store all the entities in one place. Okay, so which makes Python again much more stronger. So these are basically 4 points to introduce Python. Now we'll see what all application we can do it with. But to start with Python, first we have to make the environment setup. We have to do all the software installation and stuff. So that we'll see in a moment. So if you go to Google and simply type Python for or Python download for Windows and hit enter. Now you'll see the first site, which is www.python.org. You can simply click on the first link, or you can directly type this URL, python.org/downloads. Here you'll see this highlighted button to download Python with latest version. Now current latest version is 3.10 and the file will get downloaded. This file will be basically an executable file. If you double click on this file, the setup wizard will get open. Let's wait for that. Yeah, now it has two options, install now and custom installation. Okay, and in bottom you have some recommended settings and we need to add Python path 3.10. okay, now in install now we'll see the footer note, like it includes IDLE, pip and documentation. So just stay with me, we will explain what all these components are, what is IDLE, what is pip, what is documentation, and why we need to add to the path. But for now, let's click on next and proceed for the setup. It might ask for admin permissions. Now the setup has started. It might take some time to install. Now it's completed. You'll see setup was successful, and in the notes you'll see there is online tutorial as well. If I click on this, we'll see, yeah, and also there is documentation link as well. So here you'll find all the documentation related to Python. One of the major reason why Python is popular is because it has really beautiful documentation. You can really see all the index and all the functions, statements, and we'll go through each of them. Okay, now there is one more option to disable path length limit. You can ignore it for now, or you can disable it as well, so it does not matter. And let's close it. Now we are all done with installation of Python. Let's try to verify if Python is installed or not. If I go to start and type cmd to open command prompt, and here's my command prompt. To check the Python version, the command is python -- version. Okay, if I click this, okay, I could see that Python version 3.10 is installed, right, which we have downloaded from here. Now if you have Windows but you want to install some another version of Python, you can click here and you can see Python 3 and 2 and all the related packages which you can download from this site. You can download literally any package as per your requirement, 3.6, 3.7 or 3.10 which we have downloaded. Also, if you have other kernels, like if you have Linux or Unix systems, or you have macOS, then also you'll find separate pages to download all the zip files and tar files, which you can simply download and install in your system.